What's up, everybody? It's Jay with Scraps and Taps, and we're back to recap UFC Fight Night Emmett versus Vallejos and talk some news. Hope everybody's having a good week. Uh, I know for me, it's been a fucking long ass week, and to be honest, I didn't even watch the fights on Saturday. I caught like some of the fights, and then I had to recoup on Sunday. But Loki, I've been having a pretty shitty week. I'm not even gonna lie. Just a lot of ups and downs, a lot of just a lot of bullshit it feels like sometimes. So I am kind of low energy. I ended up getting a sty in my eye. I know it's fucking disgusting, but I do have a tendency because I have glasses to touch my eyes a lot, and touch my face a lot, which is a nasty habit that I have. I was rubbing your nose. Anyways, y'all, I hope everybody's having a good week. I hope everybody's having to look forward to some plans. I know we got some big fight nights coming up. And yeah, let's get into just what happened this last Saturday. So, this last Saturday, let's start at the bottom of the card. How about that? So, we had Charles Energy Johnson defeating Bruno Silva. And honestly, these guys are going back and forth, back and forth. It really took Johnson the whole first round to really get his legs under him and to get his rhythm going. I mean, Bruno Silva was just quick to get to the punch and really, really getting in Charles's face, not letting him get any offense off. And by the second round, Johnson was able to mix it up a little bit and then start getting off some of his offense. Just kidding. But Bruno Silva, I mean, I give it up to him. It was a really close fight. I could have gone either way on the second round. I think the second round is kind of what was the hardest round to score. After that, the third round seemed pretty much Johnson getting a little bit better of the exchanges. Bruno really slowing his pace down at the end of the third round. It was a really, really hard I think fight to judge, just because just that second round was just a very awkward round, both getting in each other's faces, and you know Johnson starting to show some life, but also Silva starting to like wear out a little bit and starting to conserve energy rather than put the big fast pace that he had on him in the first round. Then we get Ion the Hulk Kutalaba defeating Omar Sy by submission, by mounted guillotine in round one. And man, these two guys, Ion Kutalaba has been there for in the UFC for a very long time. If you guys don't know him, you probably seen him from his weigh-ins where he has the whole whole green air sprayed on him. He's like the Hulk, right? So sometimes he comes out in all this green spray paint. But pretty much it was just a nasty shot that Sai took, and then as Sai was starting to shoot in, Ion Kutalaba saw that it was just easier for him to turtle up, right? Because he had him at the hip, so he had him. And Sai, like I said, took a horrible shot, was on his knees, and just kind of stood there. And Kutalaba just cinched up the throat, cinched up the neck. And then as he's starting to go down and start to accept position, he turns over onto Sai's back and gets full mount and just cranks his neck. And he's not even cranking his neck just with his arm. He's cranking his neck with his arm and his body. So it's crushing him like. So Kutalaba gets the win. Then we get Marwan Rahiki defeating Harry Hardwick in what a nasty ass fucking fight. A real rock'em sock'em robot. You had Rahiki in the first round, really starting to find his range. And Hardwick, dude, he does a good job of not stepping too far back. A lot of guys have a problem of stepping too far back and not throwing again, not not returning enough punches. But Hardwick did a good job of taking maybe 1-2 steps back and then immediately returning with some offense. But Rahiki, man, he has some nasty front kicks up the middle that would, I mean, take the breath out of anybody. They look like they fucking hurt. And I mean, at the end of the first round, I think it's like the last minute or so, maybe the last 2 minutes, Rahiki really starts throwing it on to Hardwick. And dude, Hardwick has a fucking chin because he got his jaw broken at the end of the fight. And I mean, you look at his mouth. I'll put a picture of it right here. But I mean, you see his mouth like crooked to one side, his teeth. he definitely earned another fight because that was a nasty, nasty, nasty war and a nasty, nasty injury. I mean, it reminds me, and it's been reminding everybody because I've seen it all around Instagram and all that, is of Robert Whitaker's injury from when Hamzat Chimaev just fucking took his forearm like a crowbar and just ripped his fucking teeth out of his mouth. Really fucking nasty stuff from Marwan Rahiki. I mean, that guy has some really clean punches, and Harry Hardwick is just one tough son of a bitch. Then we get Jose Miguel Delgado defeating Andre Fili by split decision. Fili always getting into these entertaining scraps, but he wasn't able to get the win on this one. This would be the biggest win of Delgado's career. Andre Fili has been a guy who's been in the division for a long, long time. So it's good to see that he's still fighting. We get Jillian Robertson defeating Amanda Lemos by unanimous decision. Just a 15-minute war. Not war as in they went all the way to 15 minutes, and then as well they took it to the ground. One thing about Jillian Robertson, her wrestling is really good. Also on a 5-fight win streak, so she's really knocking on the door of title contention. And let's see. We get our main event. Kevin Vallejos defeating Josh Emmett by TKO in round 1. You heard it right here. TKO round 1. What some people cannot do. And Josh Emmett is a legend of the game. Toughest fighter in the division. But man, freaking Vallejos has the power to knock anybody out. He had Josh Emmett on freaking skates here. I mean, we just hit him with one punch, was able to back him up towards the fence and just throw the ground and pound until Josh Emmett just sat back down. So I'm watching it here. Yeah, gets him right up to the fence and just gets him with the ground and pound. And Josh Emmett is not one guy who gets knocked out very easy or knocked down. So Kevin Vallejos is looking like a real dangerous guy. Who do we give him? If we're matchmakers. Man. But Emmett taking crazy swings. Man, and Vallejos is just there throwing some fucking heat. Elbows to the body, knees to the body. Nasty. Dang, number 14, Kevin Vallejos. Number 11. Well, Melchizedek Costa is already in there. Steve Garcia is for the White House. Ooh, we could get a Kevin Vallejos versus Brian Ortega fight. That'd be pretty fun. I mean, fucking Ortega better keep his hands up. But that would be a fun fight. Yeah, that's what I can see being Kevin Vallejos' next fight. Or maybe Pitbull, but I don't know. I don't think so. But anyways, that was UFC Fight Night. Emmett versus Vallejos. And on March 13th, we finally got some different sort of promotion from Dana White and the boys. I think Brendan Fitzgerald and Michael Bisping sitting all together, and Dana breaking some news as of every main event going forward till the Freedom 250 White House card, which it's like I said, it's crazy to finally see Dana finally getting some more juice there, finally pushing the product a little bit more and making it less stale by, again, being the face of the company, not just on Instagram, not just relying on the normal or just the easiest way to get news out there, man. You want to throw some fucking heat on it. You want to throw some fucking beans on that shit.
What's the matter? Scared of beans?
You want to get that shit popping, right? And that's exactly what they did by doing this. So let's get into this. April 25th, Las Vegas, Nevada. We get a fight night. Aljamain Sterling getting back into the octagon versus Yusuf Zalal. Big fight for Yusuf. That would probably be the biggest win of his career if he can beat up Aljamain Sterling. He's on a 5-fight win streak, beating the likes of Cater, to Josh Emmett. And we know Aljamain Sterling, the Funk Master, the bantamweight champion, the former bantamweight champion, Aljamain Sterling. Then May 2nd, Perth, Australia. We get Benil Dariush, and he was supposed to face Manuel Torres for a main event. But who is stepping in here? The young gun Quillen Salkeld. Um, and that's co-main event to Jack Della Maddalena versus Carlos Praches in Perth. Woo, man, Perth is getting a good main event and a good co-main for that. And hey, Benil Dariush has never been the kind of guy to fucking go away from a fight. He is taking on a young prospect in Quillen Salkeld. And you know, Benil Dariush has been in some wars. He's also just been knocked out by Benoit Saint Denis, which is again another guy who is just on a tear in the division. So man, big fight for Benil and also big fight for Quillen. Then we get UFC 328 in Newark, New Jersey, baby. And what the fuck are we getting? We're going to get a fucking nasty matchup with Khamzat Chimaev making his first title defense of the middleweight title against Sean Strickland. Now, we have been waiting for this fight fucking forever. We really thought that fight was going to be on the White House card just because Sean Strickland is so America and Khamzat is just he's just a champ, so why wouldn't we put that there? But you know, you got to spread the love. You can't put all the title fights there. You can't have what Daddy Trump wants the whole time, right? And Khamzat, we know him, fucking took the title from Dricus du Plessis, beat the dog shit out of Robert Whitaker, and Sean Strickland just coming off that beautiful win off Fluffy Hernandez, really showing that he has a world class jab. But can that jab be any indicator, any can that be the what's the word I'm looking here? Can it be the deciding factor whether he fucking wins the title again, or Khamzat just wrestle fucks him till he's fucking crying? Like, who knows, right? Sean looked really good in the last fight, was able to stuff takedowns. So, I mean, let's see. Then in the heavyweight division, getting some movement along here, we get Alexander Volkov versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. And Waldo Cortez Acosta is having the years of his life right now, being such an active heavyweight, really fucking blowing through the rankings. And Alexander Volkov, still a guy up there who's been getting his wins. Again, another guy who's been in the UFC for a very long time, but has fought the best of the best. You know, Volkov wants a rematch with Tom Aspinall, could get him to that champion, but Waldo Cortez Acosta has been showing that he is a all-around great MMA fighter. From the ground to the fucking top, he is knocking dudes out left and fucking right. Woo! Then we're getting Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guskov 2. Come on, man. They're trying to run this back from the majority draw that they had at UFC 323 this last year. So let's see what happens. Let's see. Jan has always been a part of these weird draw fights that I can never understand how many draws one guy can get. But yeah. Then for the OGs of OGs. Oh, wait. I'm looking at that Costa. Oh damn, these are all part of one card I'm seeing here. Oh, I'm tripping. So, UFC 328, they added blah blah Strickland versus Chimaev, but along with that to the card they added Volkov Acosta, Blachowicz versus Guskov 2, and we're getting an OG fight. We're bringing back Jeremy Lil Heathen Stevens versus King Green. And King Green coming off a not masterclass, but a fucking great showing of his striking and showing that he still got it. I forget who he fought. Was it the Mexican guy? I thought that dude had a real good chance of winning, but I think he respected King Green too much, and King Green was talking his shit. And man, it's good to see him get a fucking good fight with Jeremy Stevens. That should be a good one. That's gonna be Ooh, man, if King Green can't do what he did to his last opponent and Jeremy gets a chance to fucking hit the button, I think King could go out at any second. I mean, we've seen Jeremy in the toughest of sports and bare knuckle, and he's coming back to the UFC. And it's funny because he's one of the only guys I've seen jump ship, come back, jump ship, come back. So I wonder what kind of. I know Jeremy Stevens put butts in seats, so that's going to be a good one. And I believe Jeremy Stevens is from the East Coast, so that's going to be a good one. Then May 16th in Las Vegas, Nevada, we get Arnold Allen going against Melcasil Costa. Man, Arnold Allen trying to rank up and trying to get back in title contention as he faces Costa, who is just coming off that knockout of fucking Dan Ige, not even like a month ago at this point. Yeah, on the Strickland versus Hernandez, he fucking finished him with a spinning back kick. And Arnold Allen is not one to take lightly. He is a very, very versatile fighter, very, very durable. Went all 5 rounds with Max Holloway a while back. And Allen's number 8, and Costa has a really good chance if he can win to take his spot because he is a number 12 ranked fighter. So I'm gonna be really looking forward to that. Two awkward guys, so we should be getting an awkward showing. Arnold Allen in his last fight didn't look too good against John Silva, but Costa's really willing to stand and bang, and he's got some versatility. So Arnold really has to, be careful and look out for that. Then on May 30th, we go back to Macau. The UFC goes back to Macau. Song Yudong versus Deuce de Guerra, Davison Figueredo, which is a huge fight. I mean, they're looking to chase down Piotr Jan at this point. This is a good fight right here. Should be super technical. I mean, both guys, they fucking want to stand and bang. Song is not afraid of a fight. Song is coming off a loss to Sugar Sean. Yeah, and Figueredo facing Piotr Jan in the last event in Macau. Ooh. Yeah, and Figueredo coming off that loss also to Umar. Um, I mean, this division is moving along really nicely here. So I don't know, man. Song Yudong is tough. Davison is tough. That's going to be a really fun fight. And on that same card, we get Zhang Ming Yang versus Alonzo Menafield. Oh, wow. Zhang, a veteran of the road to UFC. He got 3 first round performance bonuses. And Alonzo Menafield, and he's been in the UFC for a long time. And then we get Sergey Pavlovich versus Talishin Teixeira. Woo! Another heavyweight banger, man. That should be a big fight because Sergey Pavlovich is looking pretty good, and Talishin Teixeira, the leg lock king, he's looking to take some ankles. And then the last bit of news, which would then take us to Freedom 250, Bilal Muhammad versus Gabriel Bonfim. And Bonfim, man, that guy is tenacious as fuck. He's going to want to get that win over Bilal Muhammad, the former champ. Right now, what I'm liking about the UFC is they're making these fights that seem a little bit like the bottom guy is going for like a 2, 3, 4, 5 ranked spots, and I'm loving every second of it. I mean, come on, this is what keeps the sport fresh. Hey, nobody can make it. All right, I'm gonna fucking slide in right here, and I'm gonna make a fucking thing. Reminds me of Malcolm Wellmaker versus Ethan Ewing, right? Wellmaker, fucking huge prospect. Everybody was starting to get to know his name, and Ethan came to the UFC, showed why he belonged there, really gave a whooping to Wellmaker, showed that there are levels to this game. Even if you believe you are the top one, sometimes it might not be your day, sometimes it will be your day, and you know. Now, I woke up this morning to some news that I was like, what the fuck? I can't believe it. Like they're making these big fights. On Monday morning, I woke up to another fight added to the MVP MMA event, making this a so far three matches on Netflix, and we're getting Nate Diaz, arguably one of the biggest names that the UFC had, and at one point was at the top of the world. And if you don't remember 2016, Nate Diaz fighting Conor McGregor, when he choked him out and the fucking whole arena exploded because you could not fucking believe that that just happened, right? And then we get the famous "not surprised, motherfucker."
Diaz, you just shook up the world. How's that feel?
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfucker.
I mean, come on, iconic. That was the day that Nate Diaz, the superstar, was fucking born. And for all OGs, you know OG Nate Diaz because of Nick Diaz. And for all my OG fans out there, I mean, we knew that Nate Diaz had what it took. Had some slick jiu-jitsu back when he was young. Still willing to put it out there and fight. And he finds himself across the cage from the king of violence, Mike Perry, who outside of the cage has made splashes in proper boxing, bare knuckle boxing. But to be fair, both of these guys are up there in age, and only one of them is still an active fighter, fighting in the most brutal combat sport right now. And, you know, I can only imagine what the shit talking at the press conference is going to be. I could also imagine a world where Nate Diaz pulls a classic and he just goes there and says, "What's up, motherfuckers? I'm going to fucking beat this guy's ass and I'm going to fucking choke him out in front of everybody, y'all. So fuck this motherfucker. Fuck his team. Fuck this bullshit. I'm out." And boom, classic Nate Diaz walks out of the press conference. But I feel like they obviously both respect each other. Mike Perry has called out Nate Diaz and says he did want to fight and maybe he knew what was going on. But I mean, what a fight. What a fight to announce. What a way to round this little bit out. And I saw comments saying this is the GFL, blah, blah, blah. But if it's going to get eyes on the sport, you're talking about names. And if we're looking at MVP right now, MVP, whenever you show up to, whenever I watch a bare knuckle show, and to be honest, I've been slacking, but when I'm watching a bare knuckle show, I'm watching it because Yoel Romero is debuting, Aspen Ladd is debuting, fucking Jeremy Stevens is debuting, fucking Eddie Alvarez is debuting. All these guys that have a name that you've connected with through the other sport of MMA. Why is that so wrong? I saw people comparing it to, oh, this is the GFL, this is the da-da-da, blah, blah, blah. Francis Ngannou, still an active fighter, didn't retire. His contract just ended. Philippe Lin, still an active fighter, won the PFL $1 million tournament. Gina Carano, Ronda Rousey, two big names, a fight that fans have been waiting to see for fucking years. Right? Both not active fighters, but both have been training. And they're not crazy old. And then we get this fight, right? And now I was thinking, how could the two compare? And you know what I'm comparing. I'm talking about the White House card versus the MVP card. Because these are the fights that the fans are putting on their calendars. And you have one organization, right, in the UFC trying to play matchmaker, get these matchups that make sense, are going to bring eyes to the sport and will be competitive, right? The biggest organization. So you have to show out for this, the biggest and most complex card in the UFC's history, right? Probably besides the Sphere. And the Sphere wasn't even like getting this crazy attention that I think it should have. Everybody was kind of like, oh, how's this going to be? You know, this is the first time that the UFC is venturing out like this on their own, right? We had COVID a long time ago and Fight Island, and that was a thing just to keep the UFC going, right? To make money during this time. And Dana filled that hole by making that island, right? And this is all just because Trump wanted this. And so, right? So you get these matchups that have to kind of make sense, kind of, you know, there's some jumping, which again is very exciting. But, right, if you show out on this broadcast and you put on a show, you are going to be a household name the next day. And the UFC will never do anything like this, probably in the next few years, till something else comes up like this. And I highly doubt that Hunter Campbell or anybody else would want to do this. I feel like they are. If Dana's these last couple of years has been losing his love for the UFC, I mean, Hunter Campbell is just the company guy, and I don't know what much difference he will make. Maybe he will. Maybe I'll be eating my words in a little bit, but it could be the last time. I mean, you have to be real about it. It's not getting any profit, which is kind of cool to admit. And it really feels like one last hurrah from the Dana era, and just really putting a cherry on top in what has been probably the most profitable years. Probably the last 10 years has been the most profitable years for the UFC in its company's history. I mean, you're talking about a $4 billion sale to ESPN in like 2024 or something like that. And then, or 20, no, it was like 2020, I think, or 20, I don't know. One of those years, 2020, 2021, was getting sold to ESPN and then inking this $7.7 billion deal from Paramount. I mean, can you talk? I can't even imagine the kind of money that's in Dana's pockets right fucking now, along with all the other shit he's doing. And MVP, right, on the other hand, seems like they're just finding their own lane right now. And it's hard to find this top level talent. And, really having to start from the ground up, where you maybe like, and if we were to talk from the UFC's case, a long time ago where they absorbed Strikeforce. And they're not really doing that. Right now, MVP is working with the top names that are out there. And it's already good that Jake Paul has a relationship with Francis Ngannou through just having the PFL. But MVP is just hitting the gate running at this point. And how Jake Paul always put it, that he is a disruptor. And it feels like from a fan standpoint, it truly feels that way. Jake Paul is a known Dana White hater. And it reminds me, if you guys remember a while back, that Jake Paul, man, was it Jake or Logan? Now I'm getting confused. Where he got someone to play a fake Rogan or fake Dana, and he was being choked down like some music video. It was like some diss video.
It's time to put an end to this shit, Dana.
Now everybody from the UFC, put your motherfucking hands up and follow me.
Yeah.
Now everybody from the UFC,
Let's go.
put your motherfucking hands up and follow me.
Let's go.
Fuck Dana,
Yeah.
fuck Dana White,
Yeah.
fuck Dana, fuck Dana
Yeah.
White,
Yeah.
fuck Dana, fuck Dana White, fuck Dana, fuck Dana White.
Dana, pay your fighters more. Give them healthcare, you scumbag. I haven't met a single person who says anything good about you.
But also, for many reasons, along the fact that Jake was the main thorn in Dana's and the UFC side, by always bringing up fighter pay, right? He would compare his boxing promotion, saying, I'm putting women's sports, I'm paying these athletes what they need to be paid. And he would always have Dana's name in his mouth. And Dana was just getting to the point where he could not ignore it. I mean, he had media people talking to him about him and all that. And we got this. And so, it's always like, for a while, it was just Jake versus Dana, and that was the only drumming up of this fighter pay, which really, I think, got the conversation again kicking up. It always happens again. Every once in a while, one person will come in and talk about fighter pay. At some point, it's Aljamain Sterling. At another point, it's fucking Mike Perry. At some other point, it's Israel Adesanya. And then it's all these people outside. And now that the sport is, again, having this massive deal, you got other boxing promoters, other people from outside the company talking about payments and all this. And again, I feel like it's bubbling up this conversation again. So good shit, because Jake he makes some fucking sense,
Jake? Jake? Jake?
And now we have Ronda backing that train up. And really just being outspoken and really blunt about how she feels, and going head to head with Dana and Hunter and saying things like what she said in this tweet. So it's very apparent, right, that Ronda has a message for the UFC, right, according to that tweet, right? Welcome to the revolution, Nate Diaz and Mike Perry. P.S. Hunter Campbell pissed off the wrong bitch. I'm coming for your job, motherfucker. Like, why does it slowly seem that at one point it was like, right, a fair criticism, I would think, for the UFC. But at this point, it seems like either they're talking actively about what Ronda has been saying and it's maybe getting back to her, or that Ronda is just really trying to drive a wedge in between these companies, which is, again, making this sport very, very exciting. And including bashing them at the press conference. Like she said, Dana was like, taught her to always say what you mean. And Ronda is the only person saying these things, not Gina Carano, not Francis Ngannou. So it does feel like it's getting very personal very quickly, which is tough when you're in the business of MMA because the fighter is the product. And I think I've touched on this before, right? You're selling yourself. It's not like an NFL or an NBA team that, right, the actions of one doesn't constitute the actions of the whole team or what is said on the whole team. It's all on the shoulders of one person. And Ronda's really laying it all out on the table. And like I said, just driving a knife just deep, 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 deep. And just joining the group opposite of the UFC, really MVP, is just making, I feel like, this super group of, and I say it again, of disruptors, of people who, I don't want to say just have sour relationships with Dana White, because a lot of those have been patched up. We don't also know everything about what's going on. It's all speculation. All I can do is speculate. But nonetheless, I feel like this is good for the sport of MMA. It feels like right now, it feels like at the beginning of the year, the sport was down, even with the sale, even with the whatever, the curiosity of what was going to go on. It was in a rut. And right now with this card coming out, I feel like, again, it's getting back up there where people are talking about MMA again and not being deterred about how much of a machine the UFC has become. And right now, the sport of MMA is just, right? We have good karma on MMA right now. So it feels like it's making its jump again. I feel like we're going to get a slew of new fans and people who are willing to give the sport a chance just because they decided to put on a card that had names, right? That names that are still recognizable, but putting them in this huge fight on fucking Netflix, right? Everybody has Netflix, so there's something in my eyeball. So yeah. More organizations for the sport is good. Joe Rogan on his podcast, the Joe Rogan Experience, was speaking to some guy, Mike Schellenberger, and I'm guessing it's a political person, right? Because of what's going on right now. And to be honest, I couldn't care less about politics or science or anything, unless it's UFO related and conspiracy theory related. Anything other than comedians and MMA on his show. I know nobody asked, but you got to bring back Protect Our Parks, Joe. Come on, that was like the best shit of your whole fucking podcast. I need more Mark Norman roasting Joe. It's probably the greatest thing you've ever seen in your entire life. Anyways, he raised some concerns over Freedom 250.
How's COD? That looks really good.
Yes. I'm excited. It sounds crazy. I know it's going to be very high security and high stress and weird to have a fight at the White House in the middle of a fucking war. But I would hope the war will be sorted out by June, but quite honestly, I'm not confident that that's going to be the case.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so that would be weird.
Yeah.
Having this very high-profile event where everybody's in one place at one time right there.
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
And he makes a very great point. Right? No matter how you feel, we are being dragged into a war while funding another war.
Ben, it's my understanding that there is a war going on right now. Am I right in this?
Well, actually, there are 2 wars
Two
right now.
war. We're in the
don't
midst
say.
of 2 wars all at once. Now, the United States of America is engaged in both of these wars?
Yes, they are.
And are either of these wars happening on U.S. Soil?
And wouldn't it be convenient that something happens during that week or during the time of the event, God forbid? It makes me think, what will be the temperature of the time as we get deeper into this war? And whether you, like I said, whether you agree or not, people have already respectively died for this country, for their other countries. Everybody is already feeling the pain across globally. It's sad. It's fucked up. It's someone's mother, father, son, or daughter out there fighting. And right now, this is only an operation, but I feel like we're getting dragged into something where we're preparing people to be another cog in the meat machine, which is fucked. You know, so as time passes with all this stuff that's going right, to have an event like that at the White House, it is kind of crazy because we have the freedom to be able to do something like that with almost, right? Because Joe's talking about it now, almost without any fear of, will something happen, blah, blah, blah. I mean, he raises a good point. So I feel like as this event gets closer, will it be more of a sore because of the times and be like, oh, this isn't very tasteful because, right? And this is just, if the war continues into this event, or will it be something that as it gets closer, it unites the people together to be like, right, we have some Brazilians on the card, we have some other people on the card, we got Spain versus America. Will that unite the people, which I think is what they're trying to do, into having this nationalistic pride again, as time as it gets closer, right? Because we're going to be rooting for American fighters. Obviously, everything that's included in this Freedom 250 is going to be nationalistic, and sometimes those things turn sour. The more I think about it too, the security of everything. If things escalate, how much more tense are things going to be? How does that affect the fighters going into this? And right now, it feels like nothing's on the table anymore. I mean, we can literally see people being blown up in 20 minutes. If you look it up at the right website, if you follow certain things, you can see homes being destroyed, bombs being intercepted, the night sky being lit up by hundreds and hundreds of warheads coming down on civilians and people, and it's fucked up, right? So this will be an event that everybody's going to have their eyes on. So you can imagine, from an entertainment, a political, a social standpoint, that even participating in this makes you feel like you could be a target. Going to this event, I wonder if that will make people feel like I am a sitting duck, where we have hundreds of other entertainment people. It's at the White House, so I would imagine there's going to be politicians there, politicians' families there, people in our current administration who are targets. So Joe, bringing up this, right, it is scary times, and to be living in a time like this and denying that anything like that could happen is just wrong, you know? And like I said, if Joe, an American asset of the people at this point, I mean, he's platformed politicians. He's one of the first guys to platform Donald Trump. And really, I mean, if some people look at it as that's what won him the election, that's what won him the popular vote, is by getting on Joe's podcast. And then after that, it branched out to all these other politicians going on podcasts. And he's probably more protected than any other famous person right now. And I'm saying this just as like, I'm just thinking out loud, right? Would you consider him like the voice of this new generation, right? Or like a voice of, I don't even say it's a new generation because he's fucking old as shit, but he's like the perfect transition guy because he's been through the trippy side. He's gone to now this full right wing side. So I don't know, man. I keep getting back to this point of being like, when will it start getting real that kind of like, I guess, the sign of the times? How heavy does that get as we get closer to this celebration of America, when these times are just so politically charged right now? Everything seems like we're on this thin layer of ice that at any second could just collapse, and what fucking happens next, right? But then I go back to the other side of being like, yeah, what if it does end, and what if it doesn't end, and who cares, right? These fighters are still going to fight, blah, blah, blah. That's all they care about, and it's prize fighting. That could also happen, right? Or it's just like, they're getting compensated well. Or what if we get closer to the fight and people feel guilty? The fighters feel guilty. They feel guilty to be on this White House soil because of what's going on across the world. What are we funding other countries to do with our fucking money that we pay for, and then give it to another country to bomb another country? It's like, will that level of guilt be felt right? And because it's just a duality of life at that point. I mean, we could be living every day without fear or any guilt of what's going on across the globe. And in the same vein, somebody across the globe is living in constant fear every day and watching us from their phones live a normal life and be able to vlog and not have a care in the world, as they're scavenging for food in their war-torn country and, just trying to make it through another day. And I feel like as this gets further along, I feel like personally for me, it gets me feeling a little trippy sometimes. It's just how blessed I am and how blessed other people should be, and not to take this for granted, because it's just, I don't know, man. Life is just a fucking trip when you think about it sometimes, right? Really. Take a second and think about that. But anyways, y'all. Actually, no. Not anyways. I'm lying to you. So these next little couple of fight nights leading up to, I think, no, I'm gonna lie. I'm lying. The next two fight nights, I think, are very important for movement in the division. Maybe not the second one, but this one for sure. Next week, or this week, we get Evloev versus Murphy, which is a for sure. If it's not, this is fucking crazy. A for sure number one contender fight. Number 3, Lerone Murphy, again, coming off that knockout. Or is that like fucking so long ago? Lerone coming off that knockout of Aaron Pico. Is that still right? Am I tripping? Oh yeah, damn. His last fucking fight was at 319. And Movsar Evloev staying there at the number 1 spot, getting the win over Aljamain Sterling in his last fight in December of last year. 3 wins by knockout, 4 wins by submission, 2 first-round finishes. I mean, he is a monster on the ground. And Lerone Murphy, the miracle. I mean, he has an incredible story, if you guys don't know. 9-fight win streak, 8 wins by knockout, 7 first-round finishes. Let me get back to the story because I got sidetracked. Man's got shot twice in the fucking face and was able to come back, rebuild his life, and become one of the top stars in the UFC featherweight division. We get Luke Riley versus Michael Aswell Jr., We get Michael Venom Page finally getting back into the cage versus Sam Patterson. Everybody was talking about how that's a weird fight. Totally get it. Michael Venom Page has just been on ice for the longest time. Iwo Baronowski versus Austin Lane. Austin Lane coming back to the UFC, I think. Oh, I'm tripping. Defeated Victor Petrino. Number 11, Roman Dolidze versus Christian Leroy Duncan. And Curtis Campbell and Danny Silva will wrap up the main card. I'm very excited for this fight. This is a fight that's been a long time coming. Both guys deserve this fight with a lot of the tomfoolery that's been going on in the featherweight division. So, yeah, guys. Now, I will let everybody go. So, I hope everybody has a nice rest of their week. I'm going to try to get this out mañana. Yeah. Peace out, everybody. This is Jay with Scraps and Taps. I'm having an aneurysm trying to figure out how to end this. Everybody have a nice rest of their week. Peace.